I did go back and watch a couple of. Watch a couple of Atheist Experience clips, which I haven't watched for a while because they were in my. Remember we did that. What do our recommendations thing?
Yeah,
they were up there, and it's interesting how, rather than just being the same thing going round and round and round, it's the same nonsense that you hear in politics. So the same things they're ringing in with. It's now their narrative has changed slightly. Where they're now victims. You know, you're taking away our freedom of speech by having this show, kind of thing. That's now the thing. You're bullying them, and so that's the same narrative that is the Trump thing is now in that as well. It's all part of the same thing.
it is. I mean, it's so it has become noticeable that like they've had it all their own way for about 40 years.
Yeah.
And yet they're still the victims. It's like...
Yeah, well, there is a new narrative of victimhood. And there's that sort of obvious projection of snowflakes and always eternally offended. So
there's no one more snowflakey than a right-winger on hammering away at comments on Reddit or YouTube or whatever like that.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously the traditional... Atheist Experience, the ridiculous videos, not the main Atheist Experience show, but the silly videos you get of mad people phoning in was, oh, that's offensive, how dare you? You know, and that they are perpetually offended, and now they're offended, but they're saying, why are you offended? Well, we're not offended, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Doesn't that Matt Dillahunty still do it?
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I found that show okay. There was a run. They've had a couple of pranksters call in a few times.
Yeah, they were quite convincing. Which
were brilliant. They were really, really, really clever. But you know, it always. Yeah, you're right. It always boils down to the same thing. It's sort of like a projection of an argument that they're making, which is obviously not true, and them just trying to explain that the thing that they're accusing them of doing, they're not actually doing.
Yeah. Well,
it seems absolute. Yeah. It seems absolute common sense to everyone else. Yeah. But the person ringing it is absolutely convinced that they're making this argument and it's really wrong, etc. And you get the I suppose the really frustrating thing about it I found was that people were consistently making the same arguments.
Yes, that was the thing.
Every week they would have to
say this, the slavery thing, or
okay, let's do this again. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and try and lead them along and all that, and to get them to realise why their reasoning's wrong or whatever, or it's I
mean, it is a pointless exercise. In terms of actually, they're not trying to persuade the person on the line, and actually, the whole exercise is pointless. For most religious people, wouldn't ring in and think that they can make a logical argument for it. That doesn't make sense, does it?
I personally don't know. I'm not sure what the purpose of that phone in is. Whether it's for religious people to phone in and offer an argument for their religion or whatever, or is it actually for atheist people to phone in and have a bit and discuss their experiences of being an atheist in Texas, Houston? It's filmed in Houston, isn't it? In Houston, Texas. Yeah. I would have thought that's the actual purpose of the show.
Yes, the whole purpose of the show is to give them a voice. From what they've said, actually, Houston, like the city, is a lot more cosmopolitan, whatever you want to call it, than out in the sticks in Texas. So it isn't really like we say Texas and we think some very different things. I think that's what it is. Yeah, this is a pointless discussion. This is why I didn't want to do this, because it's.
Well, I'm actually just thinking about it. I mean, I was quite into it like a few years ago, and my sort of outlook on it has changed really. I mean, I actually found the Christopher Hitchens, although it was nice watching YouTube clips where he demolished someone or whatever, I actually found the style of debate quite frustrating.
Exactly, yeah. I watched it for a bit. I think it was about a year ago when I really sat down and watched it. I went back to it and watched loads and loads of it. I like the logical argument thing. I like the how you do make a point and all that stuff, and rather than the actual content of it, which is pointless. But it just goes round and round in circles. But like I said, it has evolved a bit in that the same narrative, the same things that are being said, are now being said on that show as well. And you realise it's the same thing. So when it's being made in politics, it's not really politics, is it? And and these are just.
I actually think it originates in politics. And there's in America in particular, there's such a close relationship between the right and
religion,
sort of like the fundamentalist Christians.
Yeah.
That you're bound to get crossover sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, and you say the right. I mean, it's not the proper right, is it? It's not. They don't want deregulation. They just want certain types of deregulation and certain types of lots of regulation. Regulation.
It's sort of got a blind spot to some types of regulation, like based around religious. I mean, would you call that regulation?
Well, taxing the churches,
or not?
Yeah. The answer is yes, and that's it, really, isn't it? I mean, there's not much to go on that, really, is there?
But they obviously want to completely deregulate. Well, I don't know. Do they actually want businesses to deregulate to the point where?
Well, a proper neoliberal centre-right person who knows stuff, they want more deregulation than there currently is, yeah. But these people ringing in the atheist experience, they don't know what they want, do they? They're just very angry people who have lots of opinions. And as we know now, opinions are more important than anything else, than knowledge and facts, etc.
Yeah.
And the internet is a disaster. It's ruined everything.
It has, isn't it?
Yeah.